You're tuning into the Wild, Weird, and Sometimes Normal podcast. If you have a story or a guest recommendation that you think others need to hear, email me at wildweirdandsometimesnormal@gmail.com. Let's get this started. Alex and Brett, kick it!
Wild. Wild. Weird. And sometimes wild. Weird. Wild. Weird. Wild. Weird. Wild. And sometimes normal.
This episode of Wild, Weird, and Sometimes Normal, my guest is Jason Helmes. He's the founder of Anyman Fitness. Normally, I drop new episodes on Friday, but this one I'm releasing early on Wednesday. The reason for that is that Jason, his fitness program, his no cardio fat shred fitness program that he runs, he's starting a new class on Monday. I want to get this episode out to everybody. Anybody who's interested in just feeling better, eating better, lifting, having somebody guide you. If you don't even know where to begin, that's where I was. I had no idea where to begin. I was really lost. And then signing up for this, it truly helped. I still use the things that I learned, in 2021. I still use them today and getting the same results that are really great. But the summer's coming up. This is a 6-week course. Jason says during our interview that typically people lose between 11 and 12 pounds. So if you're looking to try to get a step in the right direction, you think you're going to start hitting the shore a lot this summer and you want to get that beach bod looking good, I think this is a good episode to listen to. Another good reason I like this episode is that when Jason started his Anyman Fitness business, he was a school teacher as well, and he was balancing his regular 9-to-5 safe job while he was also chasing something that he wanted to do. I feel like a lot of people that I talk to, like almost everybody I talk to, they might like their job, but they also have this other passion that they want to do that they don't always know how to monetize or how to follow through with, or like how would I get clients, things like that. And I just like talking to people who have figured this out. I like their mindset and the little nuggets of knowledge that they drop. I like doing this podcast. Ideally, I would like this podcast to blow up. I'm in 9 countries right now. Shout out to Romania, my second highest market behind the US. All my Romanian listeners out there, let's hear you, man. It's great to talk to people who are able to take their dreams and turn them into a reality. So that's why I enjoyed this conversation with Jason. We talked about his Anyman Fitness. We talked about teaching. We talked about kids in school are a pain in the ass. I have 2 brothers who are teachers. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how any of the teachers do it. Hey, you get summers off. There's a trade-off there somewhere. I don't always see it. But anyway, a great conversation. Thanks to Coach Jay for coming on. Shout out to him. Follow him at Anyman Fitness. Let him know that you heard him on here. And if you're interested, he has even free programs through Twitter and his website that you can find, like free body workouts that you can do. You don't even need weights. Check him out. Let him know you heard him on here and enjoy the episode. Thanks, guys. Are you looking for CBD for your pet? My friends at Pure Pet Wellness have what you need. They use the highest quality ingredients. While other companies may use synthetic oils in their CBD, Pure Pet Wellness uses organic ingredients, organically grown hemp, organic coconut oil, organic shea butter, organic beeswax, and that's just to name a few. A family-owned and operated company that also offers fast shipping. Go to purepetwellness.com for all your pet's CBD needs and use the discount code WILD and WEIRD at checkout. That's WILD, A-N-D, WEIRD. Treat your animal right. Go to purepetwellness.com. Are you looking to buy a home in New Jersey? Escape the city and move to the suburbs? Finally purchase a vacation home on the lake or down the shore? Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who are retiring and moving out of state. If so, let me help you. Keller Williams and the Real Estate Professional Group have what you need to make your goals come true. Reach out and have a conversation with someone who will put you first. Contact Brian McCoach at 856-321-1212 or email brianmccoach@kw.com. Welcome to another episode of Wild, Weird, and Sometimes Normal. I'm your host, Brian. And today my guest is Jason Helmes. He's the founder of Anyman Fitness. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, thanks for having me. So am I wild, weird, or am I sometimes normal?
We'll decide that at the end. We'll see how well it goes.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. Great. So about 2 years ago, I think I saw you on Twitter. Somebody I was following retweeted you, and you were putting out a call for your no cardio fat shred. And I saw you on a Thursday, and it was starting on September 13th of 2021. And I was at a point for myself where, sometimes you catch the wrong look in the mirror, or you see a picture of yourself and, that 18-year-old self that's always in your head, and you like the same music and you like the same movies and you laugh at the exact same jokes from that long ago. And I was like, man, that is not the same guy that's in my head. And at that instant, I signed up for your no cardio fat shred, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't belong to a gym. I've done some, weightlifting and in sports in high school, but it was, and joined the gym afterwards. But really, when you're on your own, I had no idea how to lift or the process of it. You go there and you put as much weight as you can on the machine, on the dumbbells. You do it a bunch of times. You rest for a little bit. You do it a bunch of times. Can't skip leg day, things like this, and you just don't always see the results. I joined your program, and in the 12 weeks, I went from 238 pounds, which was probably close to like the most that I've ever been, down to 208. And I would have liked to say at that point that I kept it off from all of them, but it did come back on. And at the beginning of this year, January 2023, two buddies of mine wanted to do a weight loss contest. And again, a bad picture. It was the holiday week, maybe a little too much Christmas spirit. Again, a bad picture. And I was like, why am I going to reinvent the wheel? I know how to do this. Coach Jay showed me the way. I re-employed those methods. I added cutting out alcohol. I haven't gone back to alcohol since then.
Nice.
And I feel great. I think it's the best thing for me.
Yeah,
and I used to always think that I would never see below 200 again. And that was like, 199, and maybe I'll see it one time, like who knows. And I have been consistently under 200 now for about 6 weeks. I just keep
fantastic.
getting lower and lower as I see these weird bumps on my arms that are starting to grow a little bit, and like weird things. I'm pretty sure they're muscles. I'm not 100% sure.
I didn't know if you like had a rash or something. Like, I'm like, Brian, I can't help you with that, man.
Yeah, not Dr. J, Coach J.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But your program, I think it's great for everybody from the lost to the found and know what they're doing. How did you develop your program?
That first thought, that is just, I could not ask for a better testimonial, right? That's just fantastic to lose 30 pounds the first time that you go through it. And so you know this, but so your listeners know, no cardio fat shredding, you are only working out about 40 minutes 3 times per week. That's it. In a Monday, Wednesday, Friday format. Not only that, but there's no circuits. There's no high intensity interval high intensity interval training. It's obviously named no cardio fat shredding. So cardio isn't required at all. Most people take 4 full off days per week. It's a minimalist program, right? Even when you go in to do your workouts, it's like you'll have 8 or 9 sets, period, per workout. And that's it. That's all you're really doing. And it's just such a magical thing. We have another round coming up here on April 24th, starting in about 9 days. And I just hopped onto Twitter a couple minutes ago and hopped onto Facebook and Instagram and said, hey, everybody, showed some of those success stories from no cardio fat shredding. I don't know. I mean, I've been in the fitness industry for about 10 years now. And this is going to sound a little, self-absorbed, but I don't know if I've seen a fitness program create so many mind-bending transformations, like truly just, and it's not like, yeah, you lost 30 pounds, which is, it's exceptional. And you went back to it after, maybe you stopped those good, healthy habits and you kind of let things slide by the wayside. And you said it was around the holidays, that happens. That's just life. But then in January, you said, wait, I know what to do. I'm going to get right back on it. And boom, all the weight's right back off of you. And you're at a low point. You're feeling great. Right. You're the best shape that you've probably been in for years. And that's why I'm so many of these transformations are not, the average person loses about 11.3 pounds in 6 weeks of no cardio fat shredding. So that's pretty rapid. That's almost 2 pounds per week. That's the average person. Individuals can lose up to 25 pounds. If you've got a lot of weight to lose or you're a big guy, and the women might lose a little bit less, especially if you're petiter and older, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 pounds, which is still excellent progress for 6 weeks. But the stuff that always gets me is I've seen so many people use no cardio fat shredding as the catalyst to just a massive lifestyle change because it's brutally simple. It's so straightforward. The workouts are simple. They're not complex. You don't have a million rules to follow. we utilize flexible dieting. Your diet is whatever you decide it to be. Whatever you want to eat is totally up to you. And we have high carb days and we have high fat days, essentially, where you don't eat as many carbs, but you eat, so you have days where you can get your carby treats in, and you have days where you can eat your fatty foods, and you never really feel deprived on it. And where did I come up with that? I'll tell you, Brian, where I came up with that. Back in about 2010, I was close to 300 pounds. I was a middle school teacher, and I'm 6'8", so I'm a tall guy. I got a lot of, you carry it well, right? You carry it well. You're 300 pounds, but you carry it well. And I'd be like, well, I see what I look like when I take my shirt off. So thank you, but trust me, I'm not carrying it that well. And I had my first daughter, Brooklyn, was born in 2010. And the first 5 or 6 months of her life was just a whirlwind. First time parents, trying to balance my wife's career, my career, kids, student loans, daycare, diapers, mortgages, car, like just life. All of a sudden life was really coming at me. And I remember it was my daughter's first birthday party in the summer of 2011, 1 year after that. And I still weighed that much. And it was, she was born on July 29th. I just paused for a second, like, when is it? Okay. Yeah, that's not good. July 29th, which is just, the dog days of summer. Hot, sticky. On the day of her birthday, I think it was like 91 and humid or something, just brutally hot. And we did what every parent does on your first child's first birthday. We invited way too many people. Had like 1 million people in our backyard, set up tents and chairs and tables and decorations. And looking back, and it's like, why the hell did we do this for a kid's first birthday? She don't even remember it, but that's how parents are, especially with the first kid and the first birthday. So my day, I think the guests were supposed to arrive at about 2, and I had to set up tables and chairs and tents, and there was like a mosquito problem in the backyard. So I'm like spraying the whole backyard with mosquito. I had to rush to the caterers to get the cakes and the food. And Brian, by the time like 1:30 hit, I was spent. Like I was in such bad physical shape. I had changed my shirt 3 times already because it was just soaked through in sweat. And I remember telling my wife, all right, I'm going to go take a cold shower. I'm going to drink a Gatorade. I'm going to try to revive myself. And guests started showing up, and I laid down in the shower upstairs in our bedroom, bathroom or whatever. And I laid down on the floor with the ice cold water, like as cold as it could get that time of the year, just like hitting my body, trying to just revive me, just sucking down Gatorade. And I remember I got out of the shower and I was so spent, Brian, that I thought, I don't even want to have this party. Like I want everybody to leave. Like I'm so exhausted. And I remember like I came down and sucked it up and ate some food and drank some beer and said happy birthday and all this stuff. But I remember the next morning I was like, what am I doing? Like, look at how out of shape you are. Like you can't even enjoy your kid's first birthday. You can't even spend a couple hours setting up tables and chairs and stuff without just being physically just exhausted and spent. Like what happened to you, dude? Like, I'm sure you've had those feelings too. Like, you were talking about like, I was a 215 pound high school senior. I played Division I baseball in college. Like I was an athlete. I was in really good shape. Now all of a sudden I was 30 and I was anything but. So I went deep into the rabbit hole. I kind of got pissed off myself because I had been going to the gym. Like I was going to the gym, but I had no real plan. I was just show up and whatever feels good that day I'll do, which, we're guys. So that's like bench press, pull downs, biceps and triceps. Every day you skip leg day. There's no such thing as leg day. Leg day isn't happening. But like I wasn't tracking workouts. I wasn't hitting all the muscle groups. I wasn't training my full body. I wasn't on a real program. I was just at the gym doing whatever. And I still go to a commercial gym. I go to Lifetime Fitness, and you see that everywhere. Right? You see people that they're putting forth a lot of effort, but they're not putting forth effort at the things that will really move the needle. And that's kind of what I realized. Like, dude, you are going to the gym. I was trying to quote unquote eat healthy, but I had no real parameters. I was just like, I'm going to try to eat healthy. So like, what the hell does that mean? Oh, I don't know. Just like eat healthy. I'll try not to overeat. I'll eat small portions. And it wasn't working. Not for a guy who's 6'8", 300 pounds. I was hungry all the time, just trying to minimize my portions. Like I needed a better approach. So I really went down the rabbit hole of evidence-based fitness. And I tried lots of different protocols on myself. I actually reached out to another coach who kind of does really what I do. We're still colleagues now to this day. He's got his business and I've got my business. And I said, hey man, I'm trying to put together a plan. I'm wondering if you can help me out and critique it. And he said, I don't offer that service, but I offer one-on-one coaching. Okay, cool. Well, how much is it? And he told me, I think it was like, $700 or something like that for a one-on-one program. This is back in 2011. And I was a teacher at the time. I was like, I'm sorry, man, I can't afford that. And he's like, well, there's lots of freebies on my website. Sounds really similar to the stuff that I do for people, looking back at it. So I piecemealed it all together and I landed on this protocol. And in essence, Brian, what it really is it's something called lean gains. Have you ever heard of lean gains before?
No, I have not.
It was super popular around like 2010, 2011 in the online fitness space. And online fitness was in its infancy. That was when apps had like very first started hitting your phones. Like the original the original iPhone 3 came out with its very first apps. But nobody had really developed fitness apps yet. That wasn't really a thing. But this guy from Sweden, guy by the name of Martin Birkin, and he's still out there, still selling his, still coaching and doing podcasts and putting out information. But there was a lot of guys. It wasn't just me. It was, guys and girls took the course. So, did lean gains essentially. And it combines a couple different strategies. Number one, minimalist training, right? Those no cardio fat shredding workouts are short, 30 to 40 minutes max, but they focus on the highest ROI exercises that there are, period. You're doing barbell back squats, barbell deadlifts, barbell bench presses, shoulder presses, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, right? It's the big compound movements. There's no fluff in those workouts at all. And it was perfect for me because I was teaching school. I was busy with having a young child. My wife worked. She's an engineer. She was working like 50 hours per week. So I had this little window of opportunity from our kids went to daycare, right? I had this window of opportunity from 3:00 when I got out of school to 6:00 when I had to pick them up from daycare. So that was my window of opportunity to go to the gym. So that's 3 days per week. I would go to the gym and I would do my quick short workout. And I hated exercise until I started doing that. I hated strength training until I started doing this exact no cardio fat shredding protocol, which, like I said, was lean gains. Because all of a sudden, I was out of the gym before people were done with their warm-ups. Like seriously, I would walk in and I'd see some guy stretching, getting ready to do his workout, and I would be leaving by the time he was starting his workout. And I'd be like, okay, cool. And not only that, but because it was such low volume, my body could recover pretty quickly from that stuff. And because the parameters of the program said, increase 5 pounds every time, without question, you get your reps, you move up in weight. And really, that was the first time I had ever done that. It sounds kind of silly and kind of stupid. Like this is an obvious part of strength training, progressive overload and pushing yourself and adding weight to the bar. And all of a sudden, my strength shot through the roof. I also combined it with, and as you know, with no cardio fat shredding, we use a strategy called macronutrient cycling. And with macronutrient cycling, when you train, you have higher amount of calories, a higher amount of carbohydrates to fuel your training and to recover from the training, and your fats are minimized. You still get some fat into your diet, but you're eating leaner foods on the days that you train. And then on the days that you don't train and you don't really need all those additional carbohydrates to fuel your workouts and for recovery and everything, you eat lower carb. You still get some carbs in, but they're like, veggies and fibrous veggies and filler and that sort of a thing into your diet. So you still eat some carbs, but you eat much higher fat. And you really need to have a nice combination of both. Fat is very good for you. It helps to optimize your hormonal profile. It makes your food taste a heck of a lot better to have some fats into your diet too. So all of a sudden, I really felt like this is what I did from 2011 until 2013. And I started at around 300 pounds. And Brian, I got all the way down to 206.5 pounds, like doing this protocol.
That's amazing.
It was insane. Like I hadn't weighed 206.5 pounds since I was in 8th grade. Like people were rightfully asking me, like, dude, are you okay? Like, are you sick? Like, you don't have cancer or anything, dude? I'm like, no, dude, I've never felt better. Like, I feel freaking amazing. I have so much energy. Like, this is crazy because, and it wasn't a crazy unsustainable diet. I got to eat the foods that I loved. I wasn't killing myself working out, and like clockwork, 1.5 to 2 pounds per week, just coming off me. I remember I got all the way down there and I said, okay, this is probably the leanest I will ever be in my life. I need to go get a DEXA scan done to see really how low I am. And I was 7.3% body fat, which, to put that into perspective, your contest ready bodybuilders on a DEXA scan will probably show 5 to 6% body fat. So I was like maybe 3 or 4 pounds away from being lean enough to do an actual natural bodybuilding show. And it was crazy too. Like I was teaching school at the time, and I remember we had this pep rally, and it was teachers versus students. And there was an 8th grade kid who he thought he was hot shit, and he went up and barely dunked the ball. He could, I mean, for an 8th grader, that's pretty impressive that he could dunk. Good, but it was one of those like barely over the rim sort of dunks, and I'm like, watch out, Mr. Helmes is here. And I have been deadlifting and squatting. I was so strong and so lean and so explosive from doing those movements. It was like double pumps behind the back. Like, and these kids are like, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that. And I'm like, I didn't know I could do it either. Because like, it's not like I play basketball. It's just like, you know what, dude, you feel pretty good. You're energetic. You're super lean and you're super strong right now. Let's see what you can do. And yeah, like my athletic ability, like I was literally like, man, I wish I could go back to high school. And like when I was 14 years old and go through this program and see just what I could have done athletically. But anyways, in 2013, I took out the domain name anymanfitness.com on the advice of a friend. I was putting my friends through this too, just buddies, like softball buddies, like, hey, dude, like, people tend to start asking questions when you go through that dramatic of a transformation. And I played softball at the time in the summer times, and the guys from my softball team, like, I'd come back after, 6 months and I'd be down like 45, 50 pounds. And all of a sudden, like you said, I had weird bumps in places I had never had them before.
And not a rash.
No, not a rash. And the softballs like flying over the fence. And all of a sudden I can zoom around the bases and not be tired like I was before. And they're like, dude, you got to help me. So I started helping my buddies. And over the course of, 4 or 5 months, I would set up protocols for them just for fun, man. I was just having a blast doing it. And they were losing tons of weight. My one buddy, Jack, he's a graphic designer. Oh, I take that back. A computer animator. He would get angry at me for calling him a graphic designer. I'm not a graphic designer, dude. I'm a computer animator. But he's a computer animator. He's the one who made the Anyman Fitness logo. And he made it for me because I helped him out, and he had lost like 30 or 40 pounds, and he got a 6-pack for the first time ever in his life at the age of like 32. Like, who gets a 6-pack at the age of 32 when they didn't have one when they were in high school? We're sitting down after softball, and of course, all of a sudden we're not eating chicken wings and drinking beer. Now we have like our nice macro, like tons of nice chicken salad with like an iced tea on the side or whatever. And he starts asking me questions. What should I do about this? What should I do about that? Ask me questions about the diets and the workouts and what he should do. And I'm answering him to the best of my ability. And I know the answers to like almost everything that he's asking me. And he's like, so dude, when are you going to start your own business? And I was like, what are you talking about? It hadn't even crossed my mind, Brian. I never even thought of it. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, look what you did for me, and look what you did for so-and-so. And so, some of the other softball guys on the team. He's like, you do understand people pay good money if you know how to get in shape, especially if you know how to get in like this good a shape in a sustainable and enjoyable way. Like, you should start your own business. And I was like, damn, I never thought of that. And most of what I had done, I had learned via the internet, via reading other people's blog posts and just like piecemealing stuff together and getting freebies, free guides and free, that sort of thing. And I thought, well, I enjoy writing. Maybe I'll start a blog. And blogs were super, super popular back then. That was, 2013, this was. So the next day, that was a Thursday when he put that idea in my head. The next day on Friday, during my lunch break at school, sorry, Plymouth Canton School District, I used your computer for this one. Um, I literally, Brian, Googled, how do you start a blog? Like,
The internet has everything. Use it to your advantage.
it's the most cliched thing in the world. And I followed the instructions, bought a little domain name, bought a little website server space. And I guess, as they say, the rest was history. But at first, all I did was no cardio fat shredding. Like, I did that protocol for almost everybody. But then as the years go by, I slowly, people would come to me and say, I don't want to do macronutrient cycling. I don't want to train in a minimalist fashion. I want to train more than 3 days per week. I want to train more than 30 minutes of pop. I want to incorporate cardio or incorporate, right? So just naturally over time, my skills as a coach just progressed and progressed. And it's been a wild ride these last 10 years. And in May here, coming up in a couple of weeks, marks the 10-year anniversary of when I took out that domain name. And boy, has life changed in those 10 years. I'll tell you what, Brian.
That's amazing. A bunch of questions here from all of that. So one, you're 6'8", and they're telling you carry your weight well. I'm 6'3", so sometimes that's considered tall until I'm next to somebody like you. But that's like the tall person backhanded compliment. I'm like, oh, you look like come on, the shirt hides it well, things like that. Yeah. At the gym, you're talking about you're done your workouts by the time people are still warming up or finishing their warm-ups. And that's what I liked when I joined your program. I wasn't sure what I was getting into until I think Monday morning, maybe Sunday night or Monday morning, I got the first email. And I guess maybe on Sunday, and I started buying weights and things like that, doing my garage. And I wasn't sure how long it would take. And I was like, oh, whatever it is, I'm in. I'm at the point that I need to make serious changes. And then it's over in 30, 45 minutes, like an hour tops. I've walked around the gym for an hour waiting for a machine to open up or not knowing what to do. I'm like, oh, what's happening here? And just as a side note or an anecdote here. So sometimes I don't feel like working out. I'm not the only person in the entire world who doesn't feel like working out. Some days you skip a workout. And I feel like every time I ever skipped a workout, I regret it the next day. The day gets away from you. You have the best intentions, 8 o'clock in the morning. Next thing you know, it's 8 o'clock at night. Where'd the whole day go? I couldn't get 30 minutes in. A year or two ago, Tiger Woods was doing a warm up. He had the big car accident. His leg's still messed up. He has to drop out. He just dropped out of the Masters over the weekend, doing a warm up at one of his events. And one of the reporters asked him at the end of the warm up, like, hey, how'd your practice round go? And he didn't have a good practice round. So he said his dad gave him a piece of advice, and he would always ask him, did you go out and accomplish what you were supposed to do? So Tiger, talking to the reporter, was like, my goal was to accomplish the practice round. My goal wasn't to shoot the best round in the practice round. My goal wasn't to get a hole in one. My goal was I was going out to practice. I started, I completed it, I got it done. So sometimes when I really don't feel like lifting and the day is getting away from me, I'll get it done anyway, but I'll do it, I won't rest as much in between the sets. And it's like, hey, I have to do 3 sets of 8 on this, 3 sets of 8 on this, 3 sets of 8 on this. And, maybe not the best thing for the muscles. So far, it's worked in my favor, but, I'll get it down to 25 minutes and I get done. And I'm like, yeah, thank God I got that done today. Because you miss one day. It's so easy on that second day. It's so easy on that third day. And then, you're back to where I am that I just had on January 1st, looking in the mirror and in a weight loss competition again. But to compound those successes is going to keep you going in the right direction.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I mentioned that I didn't really like going to the gym before I found this protocol is just, it was almost just something that I felt like I needed to do out of duty. Like, you have this gym membership, you're supposed to be in good shape, like go to the gym and work out. So I always kind of saw it as like this torturous thing, almost like something to survive, if you will. But then as soon as I started doing this no cardio fat rate thing, all of a sudden my mindset on everything changed. And I think it was just because you could see how you were building blocks. Like you could see how you were building a house. Like each day you were putting a brick on. And you were looking at your performance saying, this is what I did last time. I need to do better than this. And you go, oh shit, last time it was really heavy. Okay, well, I'm going to trust that super compensation happened, right? Super compensation in the world of weightlifting means when you start your workout, you're at a baseline level of strength. When you're finished with your workout, you're actually weaker than you were when you started your workout, right? You're always weaker at the end of your workout. You can't push as much weight. But you trust the process of recovery, of eating nutritious, healthy foods, staying hydrated, getting sleep, getting rest. You trust the fact that those muscles will repair themselves and they will come back stronger. So like that mindset shift, like it was almost like I was telling myself, like, if you miss a day, you missed a brick. when you miss that brick and you wait a full week or something before you get back into that gym, it's like you're taking a couple bricks away and then you have to rebuild it from there, which essentially is true when you're talking about strength training. That's exactly how it works. So it's like all of a sudden, I never wanted to miss. Like, and I would figure out a way to get to that gym, like no matter what. Sometimes I had stuff going on. There were parent teacher conferences. There was this, I always found a way, whether that way was, okay, tomorrow you have to wake up at 4:00 in the morning and you have to do it before work. It's only 30 minutes. Get in there and bust ass, or it's, okay, today you can't make it on a Friday, Saturday morning, you're going to get in there and you're going to get your workout in, right? Just, it was the first time in my life where, and honestly, Brian, part of it was I said, you have started and stopped so many times in your life. You need to figure out what happened. You should, every human being, really, not just me, every human being should see what happens if you go all in and commit 100% to something physically. I think everyone once in their lives should be able to see what kind of true benefits you will have if you go 100% all in. Because every human on earth pretty much, well, I shouldn't say on earth, in America, let's say, has tried to get in shape or tried to be healthy and there's roadblocks and things get difficult. But how many of us out there can actually say, for this 4 months or 6 months or a year or whatever the time frame is, I went 100% all in and I did everything that I could possibly do to be as perfect as possible. You can't be perfect. You are going to mess up. And I can't sit here and say that in those 2 years where I was losing 85 pounds, I was perfect. Hell no, I wasn't perfect. I screwed up. I screwed up all the time. Right. But just to say I need to give it my all, how many people can actually say this? So that was my mindset shift. Like, and a lot of that probably stems from like insecurity. I've had, I don't know how you are, Brian, but you were talking about backhanded compliments. You know what one of the worst backhanded compliments is? It just used to eat me alive. People would say this shit all the time. It would drive me crazy. You have so much potential. Ugh. I hated it when people told me that, because what's the underlying message? You're not living up to it. Right. That's right. That's the next step. Go, oh my gosh, you have so much potential. I heard that all the time in high school, heard that in college. You have so much potential, so much potential. And like, so one time I was like, when I started doing this, I started seeing the real results. And after a couple of months in, it was like, okay, bro, like this is really working. You're dropping weight fast. You're getting strong fast. And I was like, all right, people have talked about my potential a lot. Let's see what my potential truly is if I go all in. And yeah, I went 2 straight years without missing a single workout. It was only 3 days per week and it was only 40 minutes a session, but I did not miss one workout in 2 years because I was so dedicated to being on top of it. And that's really kind of what kickstarted all this stuff. So it's so rewarding to hear stories like you and I made those posts that I was telling you about on Twitter and on Facebook and stuff, a little bit of salesy stuff there. Obviously I'm selling my course. You got to sell your own stuff. That's right. But you got to be okay with self-promoting if you're an internet online fitness guy. But at the same time, like I said, I don't know if I've ever seen so many people take it and then go, wow, you don't have to kill yourself with exercise to get into great shape. You don't have to eat nothing but tofu, broccoli, and almonds, to get into great shape. You can really eat what you want. You just have to be smart about it. And you can really exercise very little as long as you're doing high ROI activities, as long as you are intense when you work out and you're trying hard when you're in there and really pushing it. It doesn't take a lot. And that's what I think is so powerful about that specific protocol, that no cardio fat shredding protocol. It just shows you, people do it and they go, oh my God, this is easy. And now all of a sudden that dopamine rush, like, you start to get that dopamine from working out and from seeing the numbers on the scale, and your body measurements improve, start to get more confidence, right? Get some of that BDE when you're walking around. Yeah, look what's going on with me, man. Like that sort of thing. Your friends start saying stuff and, wow, dude, you look great. And that's a confidence boost and you feel awesome about yourself. And that's what hooks you. And now all of a sudden you're hooked. And I've seen so many people do that. And I don't train 3 days per week for 40 minutes anymore. I'll train 4 or 5, 6 days per week. I'll do cardio now. I'll try different methodologies and different stuff just because, like, now I love it. And 10 years ago, it's weird. If you would have told me, I guess it would be 12 years ago now when I very first started that, like, hey, fast forward 12 years and you're going to be on a podcast and you're going to have your own business and like over 1,000 clients and you'll be X, Y, and Z. You're not going to be teaching. You'll quit that shit back in 2006. I'll be like, what in the ever living frick are you talking? Like, what are you talking? What kind of alternate universe are you living in? But yeah, life has taken a wild turn, no doubt.
I was going to ask you about teaching and when you left that. So 2016, you stopped teaching full time. You were balancing both of Anyman Fitness and teaching at one point. And then you just cut the cord on teaching and you went into Anyman Fitness. What was that like, leaving a secure? What was it like following your dreams?
Terrifying. Of course, it was terrifying. It was I waited 1 year too long to pull the trigger. I will be the first one to admit that. And if you ask the principal at the school that I taught in, he will say the same thing. So I started in 2013 in May. And all I did, and I think this is where a lot of new people go wrong, especially in the fitness world. All I wanted to do was give value. I didn't want to sell anything for months, for 5 straight months, the whole summer of 2013. I just wrote articles for my site. I posted them on Twitter. I had 12 followers at the time. And I started a Facebook business page, and so that was it. Those were the only 2 social medias. Instagram wasn't even a thing back then. There was no LinkedIn, TikTok, none of that crap. And
some of that might be a good thing.
Yeah, you could make the argument that was they were simpler times back in 2011. Yeah. That's for sure, Brian. Yeah, so that's all I did was just write articles, and I didn't even open for business so I started the website in May of 2013. If you ever want to go on a trip, go to the Wayback Machine and type in Anyman Fitness in June of 2013. You can see how rudimentary and awful. The articles are terrible. The website looks like a GeoCities website from 2005. If you remember GeoCities.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, that was fun. I think I had one of those too somewhere. I don't think the Wayback Archives has that one. Thank God.
You hope not.
Yeah. But so that was in May of 2013. I didn't open for business until October of 2013. I'll tell you my entire goal. My entire goal with the business was to have some extra money to do some home repairs. That was it. I think it was 2012. We had to get a deck put on our backyard, and I didn't have the money for it, and my wife didn't have the money for it, and it wasn't an expensive deck. It was $7 or $8 grand or something, but we had to go to the credit union and get a loan. And I remember just being like, "Bro, you're in your 30s, man. You should be able to just write a check for this. You need to earn more, right?" I was a teacher, so that's common theme with us teachers. And so I looked into possibly being a principal, but I realized it's 15 or 20 grand per year for triple the hours. I don't think that's worth my time. And then this kind of started. I said, oh, well, all right, let's give it a shot. Started it in May. And in October, I decided, okay, I'll start taking clients. And get this, on my website, I wrote, if you are interested in a one-on-one or in a coaching program, email me at anymanfitness@yahoo.com. That just shows you how rudimentary all this stuff was. There was no form to fill out. I didn't have my own domain name email address. Back then, you couldn't just go to Google Suite and get an email address on your domain. You had to go through a process, and I was completely stupid when it came to tech. But man, sure as shit, a week or two later, there's someone in my inbox. I got my very first client. And it was pretty modest up until about the summer of 2014. There was a website called Photocracy, which is actually still around, but it's not popular anymore. At one point, it was more popular. In 2014, it got voted one of the top 10 new fitness apps on the market. And it was bigger than MyFitnessPal at the time. And they were looking for coaches to run courses and coaching courses. And it was a contract work situation. They get a cut, you get a cut, sort of a deal. And I said, okay, cool. I'll run this. What will I call it? And I thought about the name for like 3 seconds. And I was like, no cardio fat shredding. That'd be a cool name. That's what we do. We shred fat without cardio. Cool. Let's do that. Called it no cardio fat shredding, made up a sales page, and they it was all email marketing. So their user base, they'd send emails out to their user base, and I had 50 something people sign up for the first one. All of a sudden I went, I might have had like 8 clients at the time. All of a sudden I went, well, holy shit, now I got 50 clients. Sweet. And it was like 2 months later, I decided, I'll run another one. So I run another one. And at that point, the word has kind of gotten out in the community. The results were really good. People were posting it before and after. Hey, this coach named Jason Helmes, his username is Anyman Fitness. He's running a pretty sweet course. And the second course, no cardio fat shredding 2. That was when that course hit. We sold it out. We did 100 spots to the course. And that was when I went, yeah, I'm going to quit my job one day. Like it was very obvious. Like that was the moment where I was like, this is going down. Holy crap. That was October of 2014. So I continued to run those courses, continue to blog, continue to take on one-on-one clients. And I was doing it all while I was teaching, like all of it. And at that point I had 2 kids. My second daughter was born in 2012. My wife was working full-time, daycare. Like it was, Brian, those from like late 2014 to 2016-ish, it was just a blur. And I had so much debt. We had so much debt, like between my wife's student loans, my student loans. We had 2 mortgages on our house, like, balloon payments on stuff, car payments, daycare pay, like so many different payments on stuff. And for the first 3 or so years, I didn't spend a penny that came in with Anyman Fitness. I just was like, this is your chance to pay off all this debt and, all this stuff. And so eventually, once we got done with that, I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working on fitness stuff, waking the kids up, bottles, diapers, all that crap, getting them to daycare at 7:30 in the morning, teaching school, working through every lunch period, working through every planning period, working out, picking them up, dinner with the family, sit back down at the computer, work until 11, pass out, do it all over again the next day. And that was it for like years until it was 2016. I said, I got to get out. Like, I can't do it anymore. And yes, the original question, and as you can tell, I have a background teaching. Us teachers can talk and talk and talk forever. You might be able to notice that.
A 45 or 60-minute period. You have to, you don't want these kids taking over.
You got to fill it up, man. You got to fill it up. You can't have dead time. But what was that like? It was terrifying, man. And I was certainly making more money with the fitness stuff on the side than I was with teaching. But like you said, it's like that paycheck comes every 2 weeks, no matter what. Those benefits, the pension, the whatever, that comes no matter what. I had tenure. Like that is not going away unless, I beat a child or something. And I was pretty good about not beating children while I was a teacher. And honestly, I have to give props to my dad, because I visited him the summer before I ended up quitting. We were on summer break and we were sharing some whiskey on the back porch. And he's like, so are you going to teach next year? And I was like, oh God, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can do it another year, but I was like, I'm so scared to quit. Like, what if I fail? What if I this? What if I that? And he's like, just do it and don't look back. Like, he's like, I wish when I was 30, I would have had an opportunity to do something like this. This is a golden opportunity. You can work for yourself. You can make good money. You can help other people. You can set all your rules, never have a boss again. Like, quit and never look back. And I was like, all right, man, well, let's do it. So I quit, didn't look back, and here we are. So
I think that's great. You don't always need approval for what you're going to do, especially if you think it's right. But it's also nice that, your dad's there. We're relatively around the same age. So our dads, like that old school mentality of, get that steady paycheck. Yeah, you have a pension, you have all this stuff. And to tell you, like, man, what are you doing? Like, follow what you want to do, like help people do that. I think that's really cool that he encouraged you, reinforced what you already thought was right.
Yeah, my dad is like one of the most conservative people in the world. I'm very surprised that he said, like, I was like, what? Really? You're telling me to quit? I thought it's supposed to be the opposite, like, but no, he said, when you don't know what you can do until your back is against the wall and you have to earn, or else, you have to be successful at what you do, or else you're going to hurt your family. And he was right. He was right. It keeps that like on edge, neurotic, sort of a anxious, like, got to do more, got to do more. It just keeps you going, keeps you driven, keeps you moving, keeps you working and getting better and better and better over the years. So yeah, it's really cool to have him, be able to say that. So he'll never listen to this because he does not consume any of my content whatsoever. But if he is listening, thanks, Pops. I owe you one.
Somebody will tell him that they heard about it, and that's how he'll find out.
We'll see. I don't think he knows how to listen to a podcast. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. He's a boomer, so what are you gonna do?
I'll write in the newspaper for him. He'll find out.
So, yeah, exactly.
You were teaching junior high or 7th, 8th?
Yeah, junior high. It was mostly 8th grade. I taught math mostly and some social studies. I was a pretty good math teacher and a pretty crappy social studies teacher, all things considered. I was just read the book and be one step ahead of the kids when it came to social studies. But it was usually 8th grade. And every once in a while, just depending on what they needed, like, sometimes they'd have a 6th grade class or a 7th grade class or something. But yeah, middle schoolers, man, that was a wild ride.
Yeah, that's nuts. I have a brother teaches 5th grade. I'm sorry, I think 6th grade science. And then an older brother is an assistant principal in a high school. And yet he still teaches, I think, sometimes on the side. And for both of their stories, I'm like, okay, why would you not just do the 6th graders where you're still bigger than most of them? And if anything really got out of hand, like they're really only in 6th grade, that's fine. And then my older brother will show me videos that end up on like World Star Hip Hop or wherever it's going. And he's in the middle of trying to break up a fight of guys that are 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 300. I'm like, what are you doing? None of this is worth your paycheck. Like, just, like, get in your office, lock the door. They'll figure it out.
Rule number 1 of fights in school is you let them beat the hell out of each other and get really tired. And then once they're done, that's when you step in. That's rule number 1.
Yeah. So. Oh no, he was right in the middle of it. I was like, dude, this sounds like a bad idea, man.
So we had a few of those, but I always had to be careful. We had one, it wasn't high school for me, so I was way bigger and stronger than all of these kids. And we had one where I was doing lunch duty, and these 2 kids from across the way, they're mean mugging and F-bombing each other. And here we go. So I slowly start walking over, and one of them leaps at the other across the table and puts him into a headlock. And I come up behind him and bear hug him. And I just try to rip him away. Brian, I think I threw him 30 feet. He went flying, it hits the wall. And I went, oh shit. And I went walking over and I kind of grabbed him by the neck, both kids, one on either side of me, sort of a deal. And sit down, you go over here into the office. And I walked into the principal's office and said, all right, bro, I just threw that kid like 30 feet. We have to make sure I don't get in trouble on this one. I was like, sorry, the adrenaline got the most of me. He's like, don't worry about it. I don't care. It's fine. Don't worry. It'll brush over. And it did. So.
Yeah, no, that's good. So teaching math, my son is in 3rd grade. So during the pandemic, he was, I guess he was in 1st grade. And they do Common Core over here in New Jersey. I don't know if it made it out to you. Mm-hmm. It is, sure. It is the craziest math. It is the longest way to solve 5 + 3. You're making tens. Next thing you're at 100 somehow. Then you're subtracting back down. You're like, 5 + 3 is 8, but it took me half an hour. So I had to teach myself this weird math. And now he'll come home and quiz me on social studies facts or just general history. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, well, I learned this 30 years ago. Is that still considered a fact? Or like Columbus still discovered America? Are we still saying that? Or we've now learned that's like really not true at all. But yet he'll still learn that in school. And that's what his question is for me. As I start down the path, I'm like, well, actually, I think the Norwegians were here first and there was an early settlement. And then he just stares at me. He's like, Dad, it's Christopher Columbus. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. And those things do just kind of come out over time. And doesn't always make you wonder, what are the textbooks like in other countries? You know what I mean? Because everybody has their own spin on the way things happen. And a lot of it is folklore, really. It's true.
It's like, to the victors get to write the winning of the story. And, you sit here and you keep relearning the same stuff. And exactly, another country, it could just be the complete opposite of what you're learning.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place where you see some of this stuff. You're like, what? That's not true at all.
Yeah. I do wonder
if what you're saying is not true. You're like, wait, maybe I'm not true. I don't know.
Yeah. I do have a soft spot for Common Core. I know that gets shit on all the time. Everybody hates Common Core, which I get. It's good in theory. But the application of Common Core from a lot of teachers, especially teachers that just, They get the curriculum. They teach it exactly how it's presented in the curriculum. Like, you got to be able to give your kids some nuance. Like, the whole purpose behind Common Core is to not just teach the how, to teach the why. When we were in school, we just learned the how. It was just all algorithmic computations and drill and kill practice. And it wasn't until I was, in my 20s probably, that I went, oh, that's why we did this. And that's why we, and the Common Core tries to flip that and sort of teach you the why first. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to learn the algorithmic way to quickly do the problem. Fluency is a thing too. And like you said too, I mean, you can't be on some sort of a standardized test or, really any sort of a test and get out your base 10 counting blocks just to do a simple subtraction problem. Like, that's not feasible, So I think it needs to be blended better with a lot of teachers, but I understand why it was put in place to kind of get away from the algorithmic view of math that so many of us grew up with.
I think we should look at the countries that are great in math and focus on what does that country do great, and then what country is great at science, and then focus on that and try to do it there.
So basically, like China for everything.
China for everything. China, listen to my podcast, please. All 1 billion people.
Oh boy, yeah.
But I do Common Core in my head as I'm trying to explain to my son. I'm like, well, 5 plus 3 is gonna be really hard to do like this. But if you're looking at money, or you're trying to figure out, do you have enough money while you're at Target, and you're like, well, that's 146. That's really 150. You start adding it all there, and then you added $10, you'll take that off at the end. But if you don't have the basics, the basic concepts of it down to do, I guess, a little faster, it just becomes a mess at the end.
In reality, it's all just different applications of the distributed property. Like, that's all it really is, just over and over and over again. It's like 99% of the math that you do up until the time you're in high school is just different applications of the distributed property over and over again. So, but anyways,
I need you to solve something for me. I like to think, because
I retired. I retired.
No,
so, I'm sorry, Brian. I retired 2016. So 7 years ago.
I'm moving back to fitness on this one.
Oh, okay, good.
Longer arms make it harder to bench press more weight.
True.
True or false? True. Okay.
Yeah, definitely true.
Good. All right.
The long-limbed people tend to be natural pullers and natural deadlifters. They are not going to be natural squatters. They're not going to be natural bench pressers. Those are the classic ectomorphs, and I am an ectomorph, and it sounds like you probably are as well. I have to kick and fight and scream for every pound on the bench press, shoulder press, incline bench press, that sort of a thing. And barbell back squats, I gave those up years ago. I'll do leg presses and lunges, and I'll do like a hack squat machine, but actual barbell bench press, it's just my leverages just don't fit that exercise very well. There's some people that go like, well, if you suck at it, you should practice it more. Yeah, okay. Well, at the same time, there's still like, I'm in good shape. I'm not worried about my physique or the strength of my legs or anything. And there's no reason that you need to be married to any one specific exercise. But your shorter, stockier guys, which are your endomorphs, they tend to have the shorter arms. Those are the guys that are excellent bench pressers, excellent squatters, and they might not be pullers. They might not be the greatest at your rows. They might not be the greatest deadlifters or anything, but the squats and the bench presses and shoulder presses, they can usually crush those.
So we're not great. The sexy stuff we want to look good at with the bench press on there. We've got the 400s and we're just popping them up. Arms are too long. I'm going to keep that. That's good. And then as you were saying, if you're not good at it, just keep going at it. And that's like the Jocko mentality. If you listen to his podcast, like if I send him a question, I'm like, Jocko, I'm not good at bench pressing. Like, how do I bench press 400? He'd be like, good, just keep bench pressing more. Like, no, that's not the answer I needed. Jocko, I can't do a pull-up. Like, should I bench press to get better? He's like, no, do more pull-ups. Like, oh, I can't do that.
There is some truth to that sort of a mind. That's like the SAID principle, specific adaptations to imposed demands, which basically says if you want to get better at one thing, guess what you have to do? You got to practice that one thing. Right. And that's something that it repeats itself over and over again. Every once in a while I have a client that, they're super strong. They got a really nice deadlift and squat and they're in great shape. Then they'll go out to shovel their driveway and they'll go, oh my gosh, I shoveled my driveway for 90 minutes and I could barely move. My back hurts. What am I doing wrong? Do I need to strengthen my back? I'm like, no, you aren't used to shoveling your driveway. That's all. Like if all of a sudden I said for your workouts, you're going to shovel your driveway for 90 minutes, 4 days a week, guess what? After 3 weeks, you wouldn't be sore anymore. But then if I told you to go back in a deadlift, you would be. Like, this is how the body works, right? Specific adaptations to impose demands.
As an adult, you should have a snowblower. If you have any type of accumulation, you'll be done instantly. You'll save your neighbors. You'll be a hero of the neighborhood, and you'll save your back, which is even more important.
I live in Michigan, and this is confirmed. So 100% confirmed. Best purchase I ever made was a two-stage snowblower. It's great.
When we got our first home, we moved in, and there was this giant storm the week before that we closed on our house and knocked power out for like 6 or 7 days. My son was maybe a year, so I guess he was still in bottles or whatever. And we had to make sure we still had the milk was fresh and he couldn't have this. So I had an extra $400 when we moved in. And it was, do I get a portable generator or do I get a snowblower? And we moved in July. So I went with the generator. I did not use that generator for 4 years. It would snow. I would go outside, double driveway, shovel for 3 hours, get done 10 feet. My neighbor across the street, I know he saw me. I know he looked out the window and saw me. He would come out 3 hours later, snowblow his driveway real quick, in 5 minutes do mine. I'm like, but where were you 3 hours ago, man? Like, I need a little help.
Yeah. It's we have a few shovelers in our neighborhood too. I'm almost going, man, you guys live in Michigan. You guys are crazy. Like, go get a snowblower. So
they're not that expensive. And once you get one, you're like, such a good idea. Such a good idea.
No, they're not. They're not. We went the opposite route. We got the snowblower instead of the generator, and we made it 4 years without needing a generator. And we actually just recently, last month, finally went out and got one. We had a pretty nasty ice storm up here that knocked out power, and we had to borrow our father-in-law's generator and running wires all over the house to make sure the food doesn't spoil and the sump pump doesn't go out and all that stuff. So yeah, we have both now. So
I'm in the both camp too, so that's good.
Yeah.
Coach Jay, man, I seriously appreciate your time. I don't want to take up everything. So no cardio fat shred. You're going to start one April 27th?
24th, Monday, April 24th. So I don't know how quick your turnaround is on getting these out, but if it's quick, then yeah, your listeners might be able to sign up. So
I don't know when this was going to air, but I'm going to bump you up. So for next Friday, you'll come out and hopefully we can get some clients coming your way. And when they
you're
sign
a good
up,
man. Thank you. That's really cool.
Yeah, no
Thank
problem.
you.
Yeah. So hopefully people sign up. They can tell Coach Jay you found him on Wild and Weird. You also have other programs, though. Do you want to give a quick highlight?
Sure. Yeah, we have three. We have three main programs that we have. We have a one-on-one, like an elite, personalized tier with the top accountability. We have 4 coaches and myself on our rosters, so we have a pretty decent sized roster. So one-on-one coaching is exactly what it sounds. Everything is highly personalized to the individual, hand-created diet, hand-created nutrition plan, hand-created workouts, weekly check-ins with your coach, 24/7 email access, and that is an all-in sort of an experience, all hands on deck sort of a thing. Then we have the No Cardio Fat Shredding course. That is a 6-week course. That's the one that should be a couple days from now. If you are hearing this after it gets released next Friday, that's a 6-week course for a one-time payment. Like, as I believe I mentioned earlier in the podcast, most people lose like 11 or 12 pounds or so and lose about 3 or 4 inches off their waist during those 6 weeks. I've seen individuals lose as much as 25 pounds and 5 inches off the waist in 6 weeks. So it's really a unique and cool experience. And it's the same thing that started it all for me. And hundreds, possibly even thousands of others could say the same thing. And then we have like a lower, more affordable, more independent, ongoing course, group, a community. It's called Full Access Anyman Fitness, and that is for a low monthly fee, or we do have yearly packages that are at a little bit of a discount. You get access to lots of different workouts, personalized nutrition. That we have a built-in message board for clients. We have a proprietary app, a custom app that I had created a couple of years ago that tracks all your workouts for you, videos, and all sorts of fun content and stuff. That is our most popular offer, just because of its nature, because it's more affordable, and it's kind of like an ongoing thing. So you'll never get tired. We're adding new workouts and new strength training programs regularly on it. So yeah, that one has currently about 925 people in that one. So a pretty decent sized little niche, little corner of the internet that we got going on here. Right.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for having this program and showing me a direction. Somebody who was so lost, who would spend more time walking around the gym than actually these workouts take to complete. So I appreciate, and how to eat right. One of my favorite things to eat. You know it's bad for you. You know it's good. Like I still will walk by and have some of my kids' candy or whatever. But like I would walk by and they Z bars. I'm like, oh, Z bars,
yeah.
like a chocolate brownie, like they're whatever. But you look at the back and there's nothing good in it whatsoever. And cereal was one of my go-to like meals. Like, oh, I'm not really hungry. I have a bowl of cereal. And if you ever look at a serving of cereal, I didn't realize they made serving sizes that small, like to pour like a third of a cup of.
Oh, right. Yeah, my serving
size
size is an entire box of cereal. Right.
Right. Then you start looking at that and doing the math and the Common Core. I'm carrying the 1 and the 7. I'm like, Jesus, that was like 2,000 calories of it. Like, and I'm not even full at the end of it. So like I've really, you look at your macros and you start putting it in and you're trying to hit your numbers and just seeing what like cereal, man, I can't have cereal. I'm not eating anything else the rest of the day. And then instead, you grill chicken and you flavor it the way you want that you like. And, you're having other high protein things like, oh, this actually tastes good. I'm full and it's helping me reach my goals. And then I'll still sprinkle in cereal here and there, but it's not this like go-to meal that I was having before.
Yeah, it's like it's a post-workout treat, right? You're done with your workout, you go, cool, I can handle 200, 300 calories worth of cereal right now, but yeah, and honestly, that was a lot of, we talked about how I was eating healthy, but I didn't really know what it meant. And you're right, like it's like when I looked at it, I'm like, I'm way under eating protein, I'm way overeating on my carbs. First thing in the morning, I'm not getting any protein into my system. I'm eating like a couple like special K bars and a banana. Like that's just pure carbs. Like no wonder you feel like crap and you have no energy. Like this sugar rush in the morning, and then you show sugar crash right after. As soon as you start really zoning in on those things, it's amazing how level your energy becomes, and how like those hunger levels just vanish. They really do when you really zone it in and really do it the right way. And that's what makes dieting sustainable and dare I say it, somewhat enjoyable, and it's not bad.
I really enjoy all the chicken that we grill. We'll do different flavors, make our own different marinades, and then grill it outside. And the fresh vegetables are, they're just so much better. You feel better. You're eating cleaner. You really just feel better. That's it.
Friday nights are tonight for dinner is New York strip, homemade roasted potatoes, and broiled Brussels sprouts. And like it's my favorite meal. If you would have told me 13 years ago that you would be eating Brussels sprouts and like actually looking forward to it, like I would have called you batshit crazy, man. But you're right. It nourishes you. It tastes good, and you're not bogged down all night long with a bunch of greasy, just gross stuff. So it's a win-win all the way around.
Yeah. Before I cut you loose, can we just cover alcohol real quick? For the people who do drink or want to responsibly enjoy a drink, what is the best choice for them to go for?
Really, the best choice is either a dry red wine and like one serving of a dry red wine, which I think is like about 3.5 ounces. Right. It's not your big oversized red wine glasses that you see at the parties filled to the brim or anything. Or 1 ounce of unflavored liquor. And when I say unflavored, I mean like, no Captain Morgan's or rum chatas or those sorts of things, like a whiskey or a tequila or a vodka, that's really for calorie wise, that's your best bang for your buck. Mix it in with a 0-calorie mixer if you want to. One of the biggest things that you got to do is you really just got to pay attention to the portion sizes, right? You see a lot of people, I'll have a drink, and they'll take whiskey and they'll give themselves 2 or 3 fingers. Well, I mean, that's probably like 5 or 6 drinks. You know what I mean? Like if you're talking about an ounce, yeah, it's unfortunately because I love beer. Beer is amazing and delicious. And what was it Thomas Jefferson said? It's proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy or something. I love beer. I love IPAs. I'm an IPA sucker. But all you got to do is take a look at Two Hearted is my favorite IPA. And one 12-ounce bottle is like 230 calories in one 12-ounce bottle. And it's like, okay, all right. Yeah. If I'm getting ready for the summertime, that's the first thing to go. It definitely is, because, it's everyone's personal choice to drink without a doubt, but it stops all fat burning and muscle building properties on a dime because your body treats it like a toxin. As soon as that alcohol is in your system, it immediately stops burning fat and it immediately stops building muscle until that alcohol is completely flushed out of your system. So it's one of those things where it's everyone's personal choice, but if you're struggling to get results and you're drinking 2, 3, 4 nights a week, that's the first thing to look at. It's the lowest hanging fruit, if you will, and always tackle the lowest hanging fruit first.
You had a post the other day, and it talked about if you're going to a restaurant and getting an IPA, sometimes it'll come as like a 23 ounce, and it was equating it to being something like maybe like 7 Miller Lights or something by the time you were done.
Yeah, it was, and I think that's eye opening for a lot of people. And I'm not saying, and again, a lot of people were like pissed off at me because when you challenge someone's beliefs, especially when alcohol is as ingrained into our American culture and really a lot of European cultures too, like people drink alcohol. And I believe the numbers where I sat down and crunched the numbers. I said, if you go to a restaurant and it has a 22% or 22 ounce IPA, like a two hearted is 7% alcohol, and you sit down and you drink 2 tall IPAs like that, you have just drank the alcoholic equivalent of 7.3 Bud Lights in one sitting. That's binge drinking. That's the literal definition of binge. People were like cussing me out in the replies, like, what the hell are you talking about? It's just 2 drinks. And I'm like, the hell, it's 2 drinks. Like
it's 2 Das Boots from Beer Fest.
I know.
That's not 2 drinks.
Yeah, trust me, it's not. First off, it's 44 ounces. That sure isn't 24 ounces, right? And the alcohol is 7%. It's not 4.1% like it is with Bud Light. It's completely not 2 drinks. Like, and people need to be aware of that. The definition of binge drinking is, for men, it's 5 or more drinks in one sitting. And for women, I believe it's 3 or more. It might be 4 or more. I'd have to go back and double check my coaching thesaurus. But either way, it's and again, like, no judgment. It's not like I haven't done it. I've done it on multiple occasions, but let's not pretend like this is a good habit to be in, like, and to do on a regular basis.
Right. If you're not hitting your results that you want, or if the summer's coming up, if you happen to live in the United States for the most part, the summer equals a beach, a lake, shirtless for guys, bathing suits for women. And, that's pretty much walking around in underwear. And if you're trying to look your best, the low hanging fruit and the IPAs, they make them so great. Like the flavors, everything they have, all the local breweries that pop up now, and they're all trying something different. There's like a strawberry shortcake one. Oh, I gotta try that. And your body's not agreeing with it. And, things aren't looking great how you want to look.
The good news is that the non-alcoholic market has exploded in the last couple of years. Millennials and the Gen Zers are drinking less and less and less. And I think there's honestly a lot more people our age that, as we've aged and gotten out of the college mindset and the 30s mindset and hit our 40s, we're kind of realizing, this isn't the best thing for me. But there's lots of really good 0 alcohol brands out there. Guinness has a delicious non-alcoholic beer.
Athletic Brewing, have you had those?
Athletic Brewing is so amazing. Good. Yeah, they're at the store around the corner from us. They have their IPA. I swear, like, I'm like, how is this non-alcoholic? Like, it tastes just like a. Well, I can't say just like, but it tastes like Two Hearted to me, anyways. And they have a golden lager that's excellent. It's like 45 calories for one of them. But yeah, I feel like, and I enjoy the taste. So on the weekends, like, tonight I'll probably have a couple of non-alcoholic beers, and that scratches the taste itch. And it doesn't disrupt my sleep or spike my heart rate or screw up the week of working out and good eating that I did or anything. So it is more of a viable option now than it's ever been. Gone are the days of Coors Cutter is your only option, No,
that's good. And really, Athletic Brewing, if you have a chance to try it. It's funny though, some of their 6-packs are more than a regular 6-pack at the store. And you're like, well, how does that equate that?
I know.
No alcohol.
I'm doing everything I can to get an Athletic Brewing Company sponsorship. So if anybody works for Athletic Brewing Company, I've been blowing you guys up all over social media, my newsletter. We should chat. Jason at anymanfitness.com. So hit me up.
And if you have a second sponsorship, I'm available as well.
And Brian's podcast too. Brian's podcast too.
At brianspodcast.com. Come on, people. All right. Coach Jay, I really appreciate it. What are your socials? Where can people find you?
Anyman Fitness. That's my tag on everything. I got a little TikTok channel that's starting to gain a little bit of traction. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I have a personal page that I post a lot from my personal page. My name is Jason Helmes. Last name spelled just like a helmet, only with an S. I'll add you. As long as you don't look like you're a copywriter or someone trying to scam me out of money, I'll add you. But I have the Facebook business page as well, and I'm on Instagram. Don't do LinkedIn. I'm busy enough as it is. Beyond, with those social media channels, I don't go any further than that.
All right, perfect. Go find him. Let him know you heard him on Wild and Weird. Sign up for No Cardio Fat Shred if that's something that interests you. Firsthand experience how great it works. Coach Jay, I appreciate it. I thank you for coming on. You have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. It was a pleasure.
All right, everyone. That was our show. Don't forget to leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcast. Like and follow the podcast on Facebook and Instagram to stay up to date in all things wild and weird. Check out the links in the show notes for more information on our guest. The biggest support you can offer is to tell everyone about the podcast. Until next time.